Guys, what's going on? Welcome to Serial at Midnight. My name is Heath, and in this video, we're going to talk about the latest release in the MVD Rewind Collection. I'm talking about Double Impact, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. And Jean-Claude Van Damme, now, I love Van Damme. He's one of my favorite action stars. He was, I'm from the 80s and the 90s, so he was like my generation of action star, along with Stallone and Schwarzenegger and those guys. But my favorite Van Damme movie is Lionheart, which coincidentally, MVD released as part of their Rewind Collection last year. This was one of my best discs of 2018. I did a wrap-up video at the end of the year talking about my favorite discs from 2018, and this was on it because it's everything and more I ever wanted for Lionheart. It's the original, the US theatrical cut, the international theatrical cut, tons of new special features, including new interviews with Van Damme, with the director, Sheldon Lettich. And so what's interesting about Lionheart, this movie came out in 1990. While this was being edited, cut together, put together for a release, Van Damme and Sheldon Lettich were already working on their next movie, which was Double Impact. And so 1 year later, after Lionheart, we have a super duper deluxe edition of Double Impact, reuniting Van Damme and Sheldon Lettich. It's almost, I'm not going to say it's Lionheart Part 2, but all the stuff that I love about Lionheart is here, plus even more. Here's the idea behind Double Impact, in case you haven't seen it. Van Damme, it's a twins movie. It's one of those action twin. He's done multiple twins movies, interestingly enough. But so this is the nice guy Van Damme, who knows karate, and he's a martial artist. He teaches yoga at the local studio, and the ladies just love him because he's so well dressed and he's so charismatic, and he's a party animal. But what he doesn't know is that he has a secret twin brother on the other side of the world who grew up under very different circumstances. And that's this Van Damme, who's like slicked back hair. He talks gruffer, he's more surly. He doesn't know karate. He uses his fist. He's a brawler. He uses guns. And so Van Damme really gets a chance to play. Listen, this is 1991. I know this sounds kind of silly, kind of goofy by modern standards, but it's played for what it is. It's not, you can't watch this movie ironically because it's already kind of ironic. It knows what it's doing. Plus, you can't tell me if there's like a John Wick where there was like a twin John Wick from the other side of the world who is like, he's the happy John Wick. We would love that. So the whole idea is that these two different Van Dammes have to work together to defeat a common goal. And it really gives Van Damme an opportunity to show his acting range, which, believe it or not, when he does this, you can see what a performance he's actually bringing to this role. You got the nice guy who's like, hey, he's a party animal like this. And then you've got like the angry, surly Van Damme. And then they'll do like lots of split screen, face-to-face interactions and things like that. But what I love about Double Impact is that because of the director, because it has the Lionheart director, and also because of the time that it was made in, we get the best of both worlds. So Bolo Yeung is in this movie, who is the bad guy from Bloodsport. So it's a reuniting of Van Damme and his Bloodsport foe, Bolo Yeung. And so it's got the martial arts element, but it also has the almost John Woo action element with the two guns, which is interesting because, just a few years later, John Woo would do Hard Target with Van Damme. So it's of that early 90s action style, big explosions, relatively lower budget movie. I think it was $12 to $15 million, but it doesn't really feel like it. There's a whole lot of action going on the screen. And so this MVD Rewind Collection, I wanted to talk to you guys about it because it is stacked. So it has almost 2 hours of like the making of documentary is split into two parts. There's a part 1 and there's a part 2. Put them both together, it's almost 2 hours. And of course, it is brand new interviews with pretty much everybody involved. It's Van Damme in his house. You guys, Van Damme, he's so eccentric. He's so weird. He's wonderfully weird. He doesn't always make sense. You're like, wait, what? He goes off into these like non sequiturs. And then he comes back, but it's wonderful. Like I love that stuff about Van Damme. It's just part of his personality. He's just a super quirky dude. So there's new interviews with him basically at his kitchen table. There's interviews with the director, Sheldon Lettich, who actually you know, a lot of these times we get like puff pieces. We get like, oh, it was great. We had, you know, we were doing this thing here, and I said to Van Damme, like, buddy, you're gonna be a star. That kind of, it's not a puff piece. It's not an electronic press kit kind of a thing. It's like stuff like, I didn't want this actress for this role. I originally wanted so and so, but I couldn't get her. Studio wanted so and so. It didn't work out. So it works okay, but it's not my choice. Things like that. Really interesting stories. Things about like we were out on the town getting drunk and like we stayed in this place, and like really on the ground stories. There were doubles because this is a double movie, you know, double impact. By the way, we find out in the special features where the title comes from. I'll go ahead and tell you. This is just a little teaser. It's not a teaser, it's kind of a spoiler, but I'm going to tell you this because I think this is the kind of information you'll get. When they were editing Lionheart, they would edit the impacts of the kicks and stuff from multiple angles, so when someone would get kicked, it'd be like, Dee! And then you'd cut to like a different angle and be like, Dee! And so you'd edit it back to back, and they'd be like double and triple impacts. It'd be like, Dee! 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 All at one time. And Van Damme was like, it's a double impact. And when they were looking for a name for their movie, they were like, Double Impact. There's two of them, Double Impact. So that's cool. I like information like that. But it's really, they talk to the doubles, the guys who were basically, they were not only the stunt doubles, who would come from, like, one of them was a Navy SEAL for 10 years. Again, I'm not going to tell you everything about this. 2 hours of documentary footage here. So it's pretty extensive. But really interesting stuff. They talked to Corey Everson, you know, the female bodybuilder. She was on Xena, Warrior Princess. I know she was in a lot of stuff in the 90s, the early 2000s. So she's in this movie. She talks about what it was like to work on the film. And then, interestingly enough, there's also almost a full hour of deleted scenes. Now, if you follow MVD on Facebook, the guy who runs everything was basically trying to present an alternate cut, like a work print version with the deleted scenes reincorporated into the movie, which would have, of course, made it like a 2 hour and 40-minute cut or something like that. It would have been a long cut. But that was what he wanted to do, just as an alternate for the fans. And then for some reason, like you have to submit for a rating or something like that. There was a technicality where they could not present a new version of the movie that hadn't been previously released. So they just offer up all the deleted scenes that were in that original work print style version as a separate feature. So I have not even made it through all of the deleted scenes. I have watched the documentary, which is fantastic. But these releases continue to be like archives for the movies that we love, even sometimes the movies that we don't necessarily love. There's an MVD release for Double Dragon. I wrote about it on the website. I'll link to that in the description below. Double Dragon's a divisive movie, but the MVD Rewind Collection Blu-ray of it is like an archive of what can happen on a movie studio, how things can go, how they progress, how they start here and you're headed here, but you end up here and you're not sure. Just so many cooks. It's just, one of the writers of, first of all, the concept of Double Dragon came from Paul Dini, Batman animated series writer Paul Dini. And one of the directors / creator guys behind Breaking Bad, like executive producers, like he was in the mix. It's a really interesting story. So these continue to be like Criterion Collection. I don't even want to say Criterion Collection. We'll just say like massive archive editions of these movies where the stories being told, the stories of these movies haven't been told before, and they're finally being told by the people who were there. Again, the special features are as long as the movie itself. So also on the movie, by the way, it's been remastered. It's got the 2 making of documentaries. It's got the deleted scenes. It has a new double impact anatomy of a scene with the director Sheldon Lettich, where he talks about how they did a certain sequence. It has the original 1991 behind the scenes featurette, the electronic press kit kind of a thing. It has 8 minutes of B-roll footage in standard definition. It has the promotional film clips, which is going to be your promo footage. It has original 1991 cast and crew interviews, the original theatrical trailer, and one of the things that I love about these MVD Rewind collections is they always include a poster, a mini poster, but a poster nonetheless. So I don't take these out and hang them up, but wouldn't it be cool one day, because I've got like a shelf of these MVD Rewind collections, to just have like your own little video store, because they all hearken. The idea behind the MVD Rewind Collection is that these are video store era hits, which is why the slipcase for this does feature like rewind stickers, as if you would come upon this in a video store. I know some of you guys don't like this. I think it's cool, but if it bothers you, of course, it's clean artwork beneath it, so there's no stickers or anything like that. But I love the MVD Rewind Collection. I think there are a few companies that are putting out stellar releases that are like the be-all, end-all for the movies that they're presenting. And this is another one. So now it joins its place beside Lionheart. These two, Sheldon Lettich, 1990, 1991. I'm so excited to have these two movies. I love this era of action movie. This is my generation of action movie. Goofy, over the top, super fantasy. Like you don't watch these movies with realism in mind. You watch them as fantasies, and that's what they are. So if you guys are into this sort of thing, I highly recommend it. This is a brand new release. As I'm recording this video, it just came out like yesterday. Actually, as I'm recording this video, it street dates today. So this is a brand new release. Check it out. Support our friends at MVD, MVD Rewind Collection. I'm tempted to stand up and do my high kicks, but I'm not going to do it in this video. Maybe in a future video, I'll just show you my spin kicks, my high kicks. Oh, I'm so impressive. I have so much skill. That's a joke. No, but thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you guys so very much. Take care. So until next time, I appreciate you, and I will catch you later.